The healing that God realizes in our lives often goes through the reorientation of our ways, the cure for thought. That only when we are healed of thought do we be able to refer solutions to our problems. Or even to recognize that we are in the wrong way. Our diseases come to us by our thinking, especially these days when we think so badly, because we are little stimulated to a deeper, broader thought. I have said that, you've heard me so many times, it's a feature of post-compliance, post-modernity. I don't know what a name we can give us right now. We are very reactive, uncomfortable. And this excessive reaction is precisely the large number of stimuli that we receive all the time to have an answer. All the time we need to have an opinion. We need to position ourselves. Although we have not reflected enough to take that position, even if we don't even have answers to those questions, we associate our reactions with our living being. And that's so strange, right? We lost fertility because we are too reactive. You experience this in your life, and each of us experiences according to the stimuli we have. The most stimulated will certainly have even more need to position itself, because it is present in so many places in so many ways. I see for WhatsApp, right? If you participate in many groups, all the time you are encouraged to feel angry, to be at peace. It depends on the content of the group. To say, speaking, positioning yourself, and this is generating a deficit within us. Sometimes we are exhausted at the end of the day and we don't know why. It is even a mental tiredness of having realized so many stimuli, answers to many stimuli. I personally, my people, I think it will be getting harder and harder for us to be fertilized men and women, because fertility requires the opposite, right? It requires retreat, silence, serenity, tranquility, everything we do not have today. I often say that we are protagonists of a time that has never been the same in another moment in the history of humanity. We have had many equal phenomena, similar at different times in history. But what today we live in, wearing this communication access at our disposal, this access of information, never in the history of humanity people have been exposed to it. So we are protagonists of a time that has not yet been lived to know the consequences of this in us. We are stimulated all the time. We have a huge ease of communicating, of connecting with others. Our children are already being born this way, and the consequences we have not seen yet, because we are starring. No one lived this before us to know what it would cause. We already know what excess salt does in a person's life, because many generations have died before us because of excess salt in food. We have seen many people die because of cigarettes, because other people lived before us. I keep thinking, until science has come to the conclusion, the cancer association with tobacco, how many people, how many whole generations died without knowing what to use that cigarette, smoking that cigarette, stimulate cancer cells, cancer cell production? How many people died for not knowing? How many people died because they did not know that excess salt raised blood pressure, increased the risk of strokes? People died of it and we didn't even know what had happened to them. In other centuries, people died of a phenomenon that is common today, of course. Things have not changed. Salt continues to hurt. But today we are aware. We have advanced to understand what was lived before us with the eye science. We already know that cigarette kills. So if today I turn a cigarette, I already turn aware of the evil that it provokes me. Addiction is a brain mobilization that makes us forget the harms of what we are looking for. So when I am addicted to a given situation, I get blind to what is evil about what I addict. That's why a person, even though she is aware that the cigarette is bad, she lights her cigarette anyway. And it continues to feed a death cycle, because it throws all the time to the body toxic substances, which are bad. It's strange because we choose it. More part, alcohol is the same thing. How many people died before us? Alcohol sequences. So today we are starring in a time that deprives us, a lifestyle that deprives us a lot of stillness, silence, concentration. I challenge you. I challenge how much you have been reading in recent times because of your cell phone. The cell phone steals our time that was once from reading. I'm not just talking about one person. No, I'm talking about thousands and thousands of people who have had their habits modified because of their cell phone. But I see news on my cell phone. See very superficially, right? We just read the calls. We hardly click on the link to see the whole news. The books are no longer manufactured. Publishers are bankrupt. Bookstores are closing, which is an irreparable loss for building a society. It is unfortunate that your child no longer has contact with books the same way you had. Guys, I remember me. In my childhood, I chose to win books at Christmas. On Children's Day, I wanted to see myself happy. I was going to give me a gift book. I keep thinking how hard it should be to have a child today who wants to earn a gift book because we are encouraged to practices that are different. I'm not saying that we are worse or better. I am just saying that we are different. And that the cultivation of this lifestyle is already causing damage to us, that we can already identify one of them. Is precisely the inability to reflect on what we are living. I think we were never so cattle. So mechanical in conducting our lives as these days. I heard of cattle. Here marked, heard happy. Zay Ramalho is right. So today, our lifestyle, when I say that God needs to heal us, that God heals us according to the disease of every time. Jesus healed the leper a lot, which was a very typical disease of that time. Today, well, we have much less lepers. We hardly see leprosy anymore. Thank God. Jesus healed diseases that were proper that time. And if today, my people, we can elect a disease that is common to all of us, it is precisely our inability to reflect. It is our excess dispersed. I, as a retreat, and I don't like to retreat to many people whenever I will preach in retreat, and I preach for pleasure. See? From time to time, I have my center of spirituality there. It is not a place that I want to be full. It is not a place that I want curious people to know how it is. I want search people of desire. Deepening. But I'll say something to you today, the biggest challenge. Even in a retreat house, with the desire to live a recollection. And it is not a long time. One day. A day and a half. 2. Because people do not get more than that. The biggest difficulty we have is to make these people turn off their worlds. And there is always an excuse, my people. I need news for my children. I need my husband's news. I need my mother's news. It is amazing how we are justified today to be scattered. Thing that did not happen in other times. If I climb to the mountains, to Campos do Giorno, to make a retreat, I would have the landline of my house and look there. My house didn't even have a landline. We left a contact number. Look, if something happens and it really is necessary to talk to me, call.